At one point in our lives, or another, we've all, no doubt, thought about just how cool it would be if Pokémon truly existed in the real world. Maybe something a bit like Pokémon Go, or even the video game series, where Pokémon become just like the animal species of our world, living side by side with us as our friends and companions. But instead of in digital environments, they would be right here, in the real world. Imagine if we could roam around this planet and encounter strange and mystical creatures to capture, collect, and even battle with. If for real we could build Pokédexes, photo albums, and shiny collections. Well, if that sounded awesome, then I've got good news for you, because today we will be seeing just how close we can come to actualizing that dream, and not just in our imaginations either, but in reality. What's up guys, Vitkamon here, and welcome to drawing Pokemon into the real world. So make sure you're somewhere comfortable, grab a snack, grab some popcorn, and get ready, because today we're about to enter the world of Pokemon. I awoke to a foggy morning here on my trip to Nova Scotia, Canada. We were renting a nice cottage, hidden from the prying grip of civilization, and surrounded on all sides by nothing and no one. 3 of those sides were enclosed by dense foliage, and the other, well, no trees at all could grow there. I'm referring to, of course, the sea. The sea is vast and epic, and it is unmatched by all else in nature. Nothing compares to its sheer magnitude. And as I stare aimlessly into its abyss of infinite blue, I'm lost in the melodic heartbeat of the very sea, as the waves gently crash into one another and into the rocks. The horizon, far into the distance, blends perfectly into the sky, looking as though the pair had simply been stitched together with a thin silver line. You will also notice that it is indeed high tide right now, with the water having risen to its very peak. There is quite a difference between high and low tide, as you can see here. And so, when the tide does finally pull out, exposing all those previously submerged in water, much can be discovered in its wake. Many aquatic creatures are often left stranded, failing to keep up, like these little snails right here, still clinging to the very same rocks that had once been underwater but are now exposed to the cold air. Fish may also become stranded in small tide pools, and as the tide brought out this small sand beach, which had previously been hidden entirely from view, I couldn't help but imagine what a Magikarp would look like, floating around on it as it attempts to get back into the water. If Magikarp really did exist in the real world, I imagine this would be a rather common occurrence, and so, for my first painting, for the first Pokemon to enter the real world, I think a Magikarp would be rather fitting for the sea. In the games, all fishermen seem to have teams of 6, all Magikarp, all using Splash, so they have to be an easy catch, right? Although, I doubt its older brother, the one you saw in the thumbnail, the Sea Leviathan. I doubt he'll be nearly as endearing, but we'll start off easy. So, I sketched this guy out, right in our sand beach, in the wake of a wave. Then I outlined the sketch in black, filled in the base layer of color, and now I'm working on my favorite part, the shading. I always love how in this step, the drawing goes from almost an idea to a real complete drawing. You can really see the contrast, as some of it looks unfinished, and other parts, as they receive the shading, begin to look like they really belong in this environment. Trust me, this will become even more prominent in some of the later drawings coming up soon. And now, the finishing touches. Of course we have to add some shadow to the water, so our Magikarp doesn't just look like he's floating above it, but that he's actually sitting in that water. And with that, we've got a Magikarp who is stranded on a small sandy beach. And next, we arrived at a hilltop. From a distance, it all looked serene and rather peaceful. I was surrounded with lots of green vegetation and flowers, and at the horizon, as far as I could see in any direction, there was the sea. On my left and on my right, there was land, but out there was the sea. The morning fog was also still very much present, making the air feel quite refreshing, and it really just felt like a nice spot to go for a quick dip, or settle down to have a picnic. But as I ventured closer, that illusion quickly faded away as I was met with a sharp drop. The cliff, though not massive, certainly was steep, and from a distance, it did a good job of hiding much of what was at its feet. The calm of earlier was now replaced with a certain ferocity, as the hungry waves gnawed into the rocks below, and the rough water became threatening rather than inviting. It bashed into the cliff, pounded the rocks, paused briefly, and then did it again. As morning turned into afternoon, the water only increased in aggression, with now massive waves crashing in front of me, creating huge splashes of water. As a wave would form, the change in water level was immediately noticeable, with entire sections of the water at once becoming revealed, only then submerged once again. This was not the type of water you want to go swimming in, let alone go anywhere near. As I stood there though, I thought the only thing that could possibly be at home in such a violent and deadly environment is Gyarados. But not just any Gyarados. This would require an especially resilient creature to not simply become overpowered by the merciless water. And so, I thought there's perhaps only one such Gyarados in the entirety of the Pokemon universe that could match this description. And that is, of course, the reclusive red shiny Gyarados. The one that dwells deep in Johto's vicious lake of rage. If any creature would live there, it would certainly be this guy. And so, I got to work. Imagine if while sitting here, already on edge due to the ferocity of such an environment, out of one particularly huge swell springs a massive blood-red Gyarados. Maybe the big brother of our little helpless Magikarp, but this guy is definitely not helpless. If you wouldn't be scared, there would have to be something wrong with you, because I would turn and run in the opposite direction as fast as I possibly could. But anyways, I chose a color palette here that would match such a story, with particularly harsh shadows and deep colors. This is a creature that sits at the top of the food chain, and it knows it. So, just like earlier, while this drawing is definitely way more complex, we aren't really doing very much different here at all. It's the exact same process here as the Magikarp, but really just on a larger scale. So, we started with the sketch to get that first outline there on the page, then the black outline, solidifying our sketch, and now the color and shading. This is a shiny Gyarados here, as I said earlier, so we're definitely going for a red here, as opposed to the normal blue color of Gyarados. And again, just like with the Magikarp, you may have noticed that before I started any shading, I did place down an initial layer of color, as the base layer. Obviously now that I'm doing the shading, most of the original layer is going away completely, but it's still helpful to start from something rather than nothing. And now, our Gyarados may look complete, but it's still missing one last, very important detail. And that is, of course, water. Gyarados is huge, and a creature of his magnitude shooting out of the water like this would definitely create a splash. So, for that, I'm actually taking inspiration from the very water in this picture itself. And that is the splash of water that's coming off of the rocks here from the wave. Now, I won't lie, this was by far the most tedious part of the entire drawing, of any drawing I've done really. It's a little hard to tell here, but if you saw me actually drawing this, I was zoomed in all the way, just drawing tiny little white dots everywhere. It was maddening, but after a long time, I did finally finish. And I have to say, I think the effort was well worth it here. This drawing looks absolutely stunning, but there is still more to come. While we were investigating that Gyarados, the sun had reached its peak, and now, as the evening draws nearer and nearer, it is becoming obvious that the sky is starting to change. It is still rather high though, and there is still much to explore and discover. So, we now arrive in a small, quiet cove, greeted by the gentle water as it basks in the afternoon glow. After tiring itself out at the cliff, the water was now slow and sluggish, lazily crawling its way up the beach. As I walked along that beach, taking in the refreshing salty air and the soothing sound of the waves, I wondered what kind of Pokemon I would find here. I know what you're thinking. Something marine, of course, right? And you're absolutely right. I probably would find some kind of aquatic creature here, but I want to do something a little different. I want to find something a bit more exotic, a bit more exciting. And there is one creature we certainly can't do without. the most famous Pokemon of all. Of course, I'm referring to Pikachu, the one everybody and their grandmother can recognize. I don't think finding that little electric mouse critter here would be too far-fetched at all, either. Maybe he came down from the forest, where he lives, to enjoy a nice little berry. And so, we're going to draw exactly that. Again, sketch, outline, color. By now, you guys know the drill. And while our Pikachu is coming together, cute little guy by the way, I want to ask you guys, what's your favorite Pokemon? For a lot of people, it seems to be a Pikachu. Or then again, maybe that's just the default choice, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have various different opinions. Are you more a fan of the cute little creatures, like Pikachu, Eevee, Shinx? Or do you like the cool looking ones, like Rayquaza, Greninja, or Charizard? I'll let you guys go ahead and answer that in the comments below. I'd love to hear your responses. But for me, I think some of you guys might already know my answer. And that is, of course, Groudon. He's just such a beast, such a cool concept. And of course, I might be a little bit biased because, as you guys might know, I've already made quite a few videos on him. But now that you have your answer, if Pokemon really did exist in the real world, like we're doing in this video, I wonder how your answer may have changed. I, for one, don't know how I could possibly keep a giant lava monster the size of a house with me here in the city, but who knows. I'll just say, I feel bad for anybody who chose Giratina. Good luck. But anyways, we got a little bit off topic here. And would you look at that? We finished. We now have the cute little Pikachu sitting on the beach and enjoying a berry. And here we go. After a long day of investigating epic creatures, it is now finally coming to an end. But this also provides us with perhaps the most beautiful time of the day, and maybe we'll get to see something really magical here. While the sun has to set, it will not go without one final epic show, and a show it certainly provides. The once bright, blinding ball of flame begins to set with an orange glow, and as it falls below the horizon, the sky and water are painted with a beautifully soothing palette of pink, yellow, and purple. It is at this time that nature is at its best. The beauty of a sunset is beyond all comprehension, so graceful that it is unmatched by all else, save perhaps a sunrise. All living creatures, fortunate enough to witness it, pause to marvel in its beauty, unable to do much else but simply stare. All is calm and quiet here, a perfectly fitting end to our adventure. The water ripples gently, with no wind at all to aggravate it, and the colors slowly shift as the clouds in the sky sluggishly move across. I now approach a lonely dock, surrounded by an entire fleet of miniature little fishing boats. This is a nice and relaxing spot, perfect for something magical to happen. And happen, it does indeed, for I was not the only one who chose this spot to witness the sun's final symphony of colors. With a beautiful backdrop of pink, a melodic slinks out of the water, curious as to why I've made appearance so close to its home. This is a rare treat, a truly majestic creature, quite the opposite of our ferocious Gyarados. This melodic is calm and serene. So, I'll let you guys watch this one uninterrupted, especially as we will be able to see the beautiful pink sky glisten off the melodic's body. So, enjoy, and I'll be right back with you guys. I know I said I would leave you guys uninterrupted, but I had to jump in here. Now that the melodic itself is done, and we're working on the water, this part was particularly tedious. Similar to the Gyarados, where the water was really annoying, the water here also really annoying. I think there might be a trend. Stay away from water, guys. But anyways, the extra tricky part was making this water look like it was real. When a melodic slowly comes out of the water, of course, there will be gentle ripples, but that's harder than you think to replicate. Especially as, with the pink sky, I want to reflect that on the water as well, so it was a bit difficult, but I think it turned out great. So there we go. With that, we have completed our graceful melodic, but we have also completed our journey. I hope you guys enjoyed coming along with me on this adventure today. We sure did discover quite a bit, and logged quite a few real Pokemon into our real-world Pokédex. First, we found a Magikarp, stranded on a beach that the tide had left exposed. Then we came across a ferocious red Gyarados in an equally ferocious environment. After that was a cute little Pikachu, lazily enjoying a berry as it watched the afternoon slowly fading away. And finally, a majestic Melodic, as she slinks out of the water with a beautiful backdrop of pink. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to let me know because I've got more than enough footage to make another one of these. And without further ado, stay tuned for the next episode.